Hello, this is Garth Schulteis, sitting here in my hotel room at the Hilton right after the shareholder summit. And I just want to make this quick video before I head home tomorrow to be with my wife on our 28th wedding anniversary. Been married to Kirsten now for 28 years as of tomorrow. And I am also a father and a grandfather. I'm a father to a 27-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old son and a 29-year-old son-in-law, and a grandfather to my one and only grandson, Soren. He's 2 years old now, and I love it. He calls me Papa. I'm originally from Indiana, and you might ask, well, Garth, how'd you get out to Durango, Colorado? That's where I'm from, by the way. I'm just visiting Florida here. Be glad to get back to Durango, where it's a little cooler this time of year in June. But I was originally from Indiana. My brother and I, in 1991, we took a little trip to Jackson Hole, and we sat there and we looked at each other and said, man, wouldn't it be so cool to live in a place like this? And we had an epiphany, and we said, we can. All we have to do is move. And we're young enough, and my brother had just gotten married, but not to a Hoosier girl. And he was like, if you marry a Hoosier girl, you'll never leave Indiana. I was like, oh, no. So within the year, we moved to Fort Collins, Colorado. And that's where I met my wife. And we did rentals together. My brother is 10 years older than me, so he had that advantage of being older than me, and figured out some stuff. And he sold me on the idea of owning rentals and passive income and the freedom that it would bring. So I went head first into that. Why not? When you're right out of college, just jumped in right with them. And then we owned some stuff in some of the best times in the early 90s, when people were afraid to get in, but we were young and dumb and didn't know about the last crash, so we weren't afraid, and we could see the potential. We got in and made some really good deals, and we did that. We ended up down in Durango, Colorado. That's how I ended up in Durango, is because of we bought a place down there, and my wife and I had been married only 2 weeks, and we moved to Durango, Colorado. Over the next 4 years, I managed that property. I brought the income up, I brought the expenses down, stabilized the property. Enjoyed Durango, Colorado. Then we sold it, made a little bag of money, and was pretty excited about that. But in hindsight, we didn't have the mentors and resources we have now. It was probably not, my brother and I both kick ourselves for selling it then, because what it's worth now and the money it brings in and the freedom it would have brought us. But we didn't, we sold it, right? So, and I looked to try to reinvest that, but I didn't have enough knowledge and didn't know where to look, and I didn't find something that I liked, and I was nervous. So I ended up paying taxes on that. So now my bag of money is a smaller bag of money, and I also sold my income, right? So when I sold that property, I lost my income, which was about 10 grand a month. So when I sold that, I had this bag of money, but then I was like, okay, I calculate that I can go about 3, maybe 4 years if I'm conservative, if I do nothing. But I need some sort of other job or something to do. So that's how I got into real estate, sales, that is. And because I thought, well, I like the broker that helped us out, and I think I'm at least as smart as him, and he does pretty well. He does 6 figures, so I'll do that. So I got my real estate license. Had to pick up smoking to finish listening to those cassettes and reading those books. Not a proud moment, but hey, proud that I finished it and passed the test. Started working at the brokerage at Prudential, it was at the time, 1997, and then began the School of Hard Knocks for the next 3.5 years for me, because I didn't have anybody to help me. I had this broker took me under his wing, but I don't think he had ever done that before, and quite honestly, we're in competition. And so if I take a listing that he wanted, then he's out that listing, right? So it was kind of hard to get help at that time, but I muscled through it. And 3.5 years later, I actually caught traction. I kind of found my niche, and that would be working with developers and builders and investors. So I started jamming, and from 2000 to 2008 were amazing years. And I made a bunch of money, and I always had in the back of my mind, I want to get back into multifamily, because the market was just going up so much. All the deals never really penciled out. Actually, they didn't. There was several deals I did where we bought them but the only way it seemed to pencil out is we condominiumized and sold them. So we did that, but then you just pay taxes. You make a lot of money, but I'm paying a lot of taxes. And then '08 hit. I'm in some developments that the bank goes under. Bank goes under, no more construction money. We can't build, we can't sell. But my partners are still like, Garth, you got to do something. You got to make some sales. Well, when the market's crashing like that, it's kind of hard to sell things overpriced, and actually it's impossible. So I ended up switching gears and getting into foreclosure business, because I figured the money is not in development anymore. And these, by the middle of 2008, we could see foreclosures were on the rise. So I thought, well, let's get some foreclosure listings. Never was able to successfully do that because I started way too late trying to get those that business. I got a handful of them, but ended up getting into the foreclosure cleanup business, which actually was big business, and did really well. But I was just working my tail off. I'm talking 16 to 20 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. Actually 7 days a week. I only say 6 or 7 because Saturday and Sunday I only worked half days most of the time, unless we had a big job. But when my son was 14, he basically told me, hey Dad, you're never home, but when you are home, you're not fun to be with, because you're always grumpy. And I was stressed out. One, trying to pay my bills, trying to pay my mortgage, and then I finally had all this business, but then that business was a lot of moving parts. Anyways, so I had another epiphany and I basically told God, I said, God, you got to help me change gears and switch gears. And I think I know what I need to do. And that is get back into some passive income. And I can buy some time back, buy my life back. And so I had deactivated my license, put it on ice, because I had found that I wasn't keeping up with the continuing education. So I put it on ice, which you can do for 3 years and not have to do any education. So I did the broker reactivation class, 20 some hours. Did that. It required me to really switch gears in the business and, get people, not go out in the field, just manage my managers. But I cut out some time, finished the class, went back to my old brokerage, which had been Prudential, and then in the hard times they had switched franchises to Keller Williams just for survival reasons. So I joined Keller Williams, and I honestly forget what year that was. It was probably it was 2013, I remember. So I bought a property that was an amazing property and that I was going to turn into multifamily, but it was a little hotel. But the hotel did so well that it actually created a six-figure income for me and my family. So we just worked that business for the next almost 7 years. And then that gave me a lot more time to start rebuilding my business. But there was a young man who I used to drive to school, and he was like 14. My kids were young. We lived way out in the boonies together. So his dad and I would take turns taking the kids to school. He ended up doing an internship with me when he was in high school in real estate when I was at Prudential still. But then he had recently got his real estate license. Now he's like in his 20s, I believe at the time, late 20s, close to 30. And he joined Keller Williams because I was there and seemed like the thing to do. He had interned with me. But then about a year later, he ended up moving to EXP. And then when he joined EXP, he started talking to me about it and telling me all about it. And I wasn't interested because I'm just getting resettled. I have a goal, I have a mission. I'm focusing on multifamily. I'm looking for deals. I'm doing a little bit of residential. But last thing I want to do is go buy new signs, switch to some other company that doesn't have an office, blah, blah, blah. But he made me, twisted my arm, let's say, watch some of the videos explaining it, the 9-minute video and different things. And and it just made sense. Did I move over right away? No, because I was lazy. I was just like, well, yeah, I know it's the wiser decision, and I know it would fit me much better, because it's not for everybody, right? But for me, it seemed like a really good fit. But I just didn't want to go through the effort to do that. But thank God for Jeremiah. He just kept kind of pressing me on that, and I admitted that it was a better thing. I just didn't want to. And anyways, he helped me do that, and I finally switched. And I'm telling you guys, I was blown away. Like, the reasons why I went over there were kind of stupid and minimal. Like, it was half the cost of what it cost me at Keller Williams to be there, which, you know, it's a couple, you know, it was saving me a couple grand a year, but, you know, a couple grand a year is still a couple grand a year, right? At the very minimum. But what I learned when I joined EXP, and the collaboration that's available, and the opportunity, and what it did for me in my business, it 10x'd my business, because I was able to connect with different people. So this is just for me and why I'm at EXP. And I'm not, EXP throws some of the best parties, but that's not why I'm there. But thank you guys for throwing the best parties. But why I'm there is the people and the relationships and the education and the opportunity. And then everything that I went through as a real estate agent. And I think back and I'm like, man, I wish EXP existed, number one, back in 2000 or when I got started, because at the very minimum, if you joined EXP and you sell real estate and you're a decent agent, you know, and you do normal business, or you're a rock star, the money that you make just on the commission and what you get to take home is 100% better. And then secondly, if you do all those things, there is stocks that are given to you when you hit certain goals and when you close deals. And then there's also the rev share, which a lot of people don't like that. You know, it's where if you attract other agents. But here, look, this is it, guys. Like, I was in the business before, and way before I was with EXP, right? I joined in 2018, and organically, I brought in about at least a dozen people to the business. Because if you love what you're doing and you're doing pretty well at it, the people, your friends and family, and the people that know you, and you know, and you're the client that has a kid that just she just turned 22 or 23, or they're thinking about getting their license. They're like, well, go talk to Garth. And I would always say real estate's a great business if you know, because it gives you a sense of freedom. There's a sense of accomplishment. You get to work with really good people. You get to choose with who you work. So all those things, organically, I probably brought in at least a dozen people into the business and pointed them in the right direction without any kind of benefit or a coffee card, you know, or anything from those companies that Prudential or Keller Williams, or a thank you, like, hey, you brought these agents over. But with EXP, if you just do your normal business and you sell, you're going to get stock, and you're going to attract people to the business, which over a 10, 20, 30-year career, that's a game changer. You're going to land in a way different place. Now, you real estate agents, and so this is what I'm passionate about right here. Listen to me now. Real estate agents that are out there that are killing it, that are doing well, you may have a 401k or whatever, but let's be honest. Most people, most agents, they get to be my age, 53, 63, and they realize, oh wow, I never did make. You always think you're going to do that $10 million deal and make $1 million, and then you're going to put that into your savings account for retirement. But most of the time that doesn't happen. And then also you realize, kind of like what I did, when you can make $500,000 or whatever, but by the time, you know, your 401k, if you have $1 million in your 401k, it's not $1 million. It's not $1 million. You know what it is? It's $500,000, because you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And it may even be less than that by the time you draw out and pay taxes on that, because kind of historically taxes are going to be going up, right? So my point is this: at the very minimum, so if you do your normal business at EXP, you have the collaboration, you have rev share, and you have stocks. So those two things right there, you're going to have that no other company offers. No other company. You're an owner in EXP. So at the bare minimum. And then the fourth thing that I bring to the table is passive income through multifamily. So if you join my team, Team Leverage, that's what I like to call it, because I teach you how to leverage your commission. And every agent thinks they know what I'm talking about when I say leverage their commission. That's a lot more than just using your 3% to buy your stupid little house. I'm talking about, you know, leveraging your commission to buy millions of dollars worth of property that's going to take care of you and your family and create generational wealth for your kids and your grandkids. So if you're interested in that, then click the link below. Let's jump on a phone call, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.